an image from the Justice for All rally that happened in DC in 2014. And the person in this image can be seen wearing a sweater that reads, "I can't breathe," which was the phrase repeated by Eric Garner when he was unarmed and strangled to death by law enforcement in Staten Island, New York. The gloves that this person is wearing says, "Stop killing," and the hat also says, "I can't breathe." So this is another example of how this person specifically is expressing solidarity with the Black Lives Matter movement, Black identity, as well as activism. All of this relates to the purpose of my research, because what I aim to do is examine how Black women, specifically attending PWIs in Iowa, use this same concept. How do they use dress and appearance to express themselves, specifically their Black and activist identities? And we focused on predominantly white institutions in Iowa during the Black Lives Matter movement era, being 2013 to 2019. The movement started in 2013, and since then we've seen a significant surge in Black activism, specifically in North America. Shared that they often would watch these 90s TV shows where Black characters were the prime characters, and the clothing that they would wear in these types of shows were brightly colored, they had geometric shapes. One example is A Different World, as you see here on the slide. So Ani, who owns this vest, shared that it makes her feel those nostalgic feelings of watching those Black TV shows, and she uses the vest to express connection to her Black identity by acknowledging that it's inspired by those 90s shows where Black folks were the main characters. The next theme is matriarch. So Vajalise states here, "I wear this one and it makes me feel nice because it kind of symbolizes the matriarch of our family and kind of just the place she holds and just the power of this dress. I always remember her wearing dresses like this and everything else, and it just kind of symbolizes the strength in something that's really simple." So Vajalise is speaking of her grandmother, who passed away in 2016, who would often wear this, muumuu or a nightgown around the home. And Vajalise shared that she often learned a lot about her grandmother in terms of what it means to be a Black woman, how to be confident in oneself. So Vajalise often wears this actual muumuu around her home to embody her grandmother and to also express her Black identity through her clothing. Majors, and they shared in their interviews that they are often told by society or literally by their classmates that they cannot succeed and will not succeed in the STEM field, being a Black woman. So Lucille states here, "Definitely being an engineer, I am in a bunch of classes with predominantly white males. So when we are doing certain projects, I end up being the secretary. I kind of end up taking on that role because everything else they feel like they've got this." So this idea of yes, I can is to reflect how the women wanted to show through their clothing, yes, I can be a Black woman and be a STEM major, and encourage other Black women that they can be STEM majors. So the shirt here reads Raw Bacon Robotics, which is owned by Lucille, and she purposefully wore that shirt to share that she is part of a robotics team as a Black woman, and yes, she can do that. She has the capability to do so.